another episode of Jason Talks About. And on this episode, Jason talks about the week in WWE, starting with WWE Raw on January 13th, 2025. And I'm your host, Jason Medeiros. The music you heard at the top, Reality 508, find them wherever you find music. And follow us pretty much everywhere on social media. In most places, it's at Jason Talks About would be the handle. And most importantly, please give us a subscribe on YouTube so you can know when there's new episodes coming out. And I'd love to engage with some of you. If you'd like to comment, give us a like, share us, all that good stuff. But let's get down to it. The week in WWE. So Raw opens up. It's the second episode on Netflix. One thing I did notice real quick off the top is Netflix doesn't have any on-screen fast forward. So unfortunately, because I like to usually watch a little bit behind so that I can skip commercials, and you can't see what you're skipping. I think it only does 10 seconds at a time, so you can just kind of click it a few times and then check and look. But I wish that they would improve that, but I'm sure the sponsors are happier this way. So they open up the show with you see an SUV show up, and it's Punk, and here comes Punk, and there's a big time CM Punk chants. And this is actually the first time we're seeing CM Punk since he defeated Seth Rollins last week. He comes out to the ring. He's hugely over. Does an in-ring promo. He thanks the firefighters in San Jose. He says that Seth is no longer on the plate. He talks about last year his dreams, and he had the triceps injury, and it derailed him. But this year he is entering the Royal Rumble. So the Royal Rumble is just stacked right now. With stars right now for WWE. I think it's going to be one of the best ones in a long time. He says that the way that he did it was he talked about the guy that everybody says they can't see, but he's seen him for a long time. Of course, he's referring to John Cena. And he says, if Cena's in the Rumble, so am I. So they're teasing, maybe on the Cena retirement tour here. One of his greatest adversaries, if you will, was CM Punk for a little while there. And so maybe they're going to run that back. And then just as he's about to wrap up, and he says at the end of the Rumble, well, y'all going to hear this, play my song. And instead you hear, burn it down. And here comes Seth Rollins. And CM Punk does a funny thing. He kind of acts all exasperated. And he's kind of leaning over the second rope. And he's looking at the announcers, Cole and McAfee. And he says, why can't it, why can't it be Rhea Ripley interrupting me? Why does it have to be him? And I think most men would agree that it would be much better to have Rhea Ripley interrupting you than Seth Rollins. So the fans did do the whole sing along with Seth's music, I should say. He comes to the ring. He slowly and dramatically takes off his sunglasses, and it reveals he's got a black eye, more of a yellow eye at this point, so you could tell that it had been a black eye. And CM Punk, of course, kind of examines that with a little smirk on his face. And big time Punk chants again to counter the sing-along. So Seth proceeds to, and I'm not going to do any of this justice, I'm just paraphrasing everybody involved here. Seth does say that you're the winner, but still, it's the worst loss. It's one of the worst losses of my career. He says that he wants to flush CM Punk's WrestleMania dreams. He's sounding very heelish here and very bitter. He talks about how he's going to enter the Rumble now so he can do these things to CM Punk. And then we hear the bagpipes, and Drew McIntyre interrupts. And at this part, I was like, hey, now they kind of got me hooked here. This is very interesting. And CM Punk says, last time I saw you was at Hell in a Cell, and if you step in here, there's not going to be enough staples to put you back together. And then Seth says that he'll stomp, McIntyre, and all three of them start arguing. And then Drew teases that maybe they should have a three-way match. And then before he gets into the ring, he stops short and goes, no way. We've got bigger problems, Roman Reigns, and neither one of you stopped Roman Reigns. And he actually says that to Seth. You didn't stop Roman Reigns when you could. And and Drew McIntyre announces he's entering the Royal Rumble. So we're setting up this big star-studded Royal Rumble. So I'm here for it. This is looking really shaping up to be a great Royal Rumble. Okay, so then we went to Chad Gable versus the Mystery Luchador. Even the announcers joked it was the worst kept secret in the business. It was. Gable comes out to the "You Suck" chants, and he's in the ring, and the lights go out, and to nobody's surprise, it was Penta, which didn't matter because he got a huge pop, huge ovation. He's over. A lot of people obviously already know who he is. Only thing that threw me off was the rock music. I thought that it didn't really go well with his little dance he does to the ring. I thought that the Lucha Brothers music in AEW was much more conducive to his whole presentation and the way he dances around and all that. There was big time Zero Miedo chants. So, like I said, people know who he is. This isn't like the WWE crowd is totally, ignorant to anything else. They're not. I'm sure some are, but not everybody. Penta did his famous "listen," and then he goes to do the Zero Miedo, but Gable interrupted it and grabbed his arm, and they started to chain wrestle. Michael Cole put over Penta as a former TNA champion, Lucha Underground champion, and AAA champion. I noticed he didn't mention the other place, but he did mention all those. Big time Penta chants, big time "You Suck" chants. The crowd was super into it. There was one spot where Gable did a German suplex on the apron. I really wish people wouldn't do so many things on the apron. It seems so dangerous, but this one looked good and safe, as safe as you can be on the apron, I guess. The story here was Gable working on Penta's leg. He did a ton of suplexes. Gable was looking really good here. I would actually say he, I don't want to say he carried the match. It's a little strong because Penta did fine. But Gable did seem to be the steadying force throughout the match. There was a couple of spots where I think Penta got a little shaky. I think the emotion was getting to him. His daughters were all there. The crowd was super into it. It was his big debut on Netflix. Probably maybe the biggest, audience he's been, not in terms of live audience, but just audience watching overall that he might have been involved with. Who knows? There was I commented on Penta's selling in my notes here that I was impressed. AEW tends to be a little faster pace and not as much about the selling. Not everybody. I don't want to make a total blanket statement here, but they wrestle a different style, and Penta here seemed to already be adjusting to the WWE style, if you will. Not that it stopped him from doing any of his usual stuff, but in terms of the moveset, excuse me, not the moveset, his selling. His moveset was pretty much the same, but his selling, I was impressed by. I hadn't seen him sell to that degree on a normal basis before, and I've been watching him his whole AEW run. At some point, Penta did a dive, which, again, this was one of those shaky moments. He almost totally missed Gable. He just kind of grazed him with part of his body, but Gable sold it well. He went down anyway. This is awesome chants broke out. He did a Mexican destroyer, they called it. Of course, it's the Canadian destroyer, but because Penta did it, it was the Mexican destroyer, and it looked impressive. And Gable might have taken like the best bump I've ever seen I haven't watched anything ever, so somebody's gonna point out that somebody did a better bump in Pro Wrestling Noah 17 years ago. So I don't know, but from the mainstream stuff, the stuff I watch, I don't think I've seen anyone take it that well. That was a kick out. So I just want to be fair here because, everybody dumps on AEW and their logic. So in WWE, the pile driver is banned, and it's so dangerous that Randy Orton hasn't been seen again, and Cody Rhodes is still playing up an injury to his neck. After KO pile drove him, a month ago now? So if you can give a Mexican destroyer to somebody and they can just kick out and continue a match, it doesn't seem to match up because that's basically a flipping pile driver. So wouldn't that get banned? So I just want to point out there's a little hole in the logic there for WWE, and to be fair, if it was AEW, we'd all be killing them. So I just want to be consistent here. I'm not saying I don't want to see the Canadian Destroyer. If it's done well and it's sold well and it's not, one guy does it, bounces off the ropes, gives it to the next guy, he bounces off the ropes, he gives it, that stupid shit that we've seen. I don't remember who the two people were in AEW, but like that kind of stuff just totally buries a move and kills it and makes it seem not dangerous at all. This, at the very least, it was a 2 count. Gable Bailey kicked out. He sold for a while, so at least it meant something. It should probably be a finish, but if it's not going to be a finish, at least it should not be. He didn't pop up, throw himself off the ropes and do a Hurricane Rana. He barely kicked out and was hurting, so at least we got that out of it. So there was This Is Awesome chance after that. There was the ankle lock that Gable got on Penta, and he reversed out of it nicely and then went into that arm bar he does where it looks like he's breaking the guy's arm, like he snaps it back. They're calling it the sacrifice in WWE. I don't think I've heard it referred to as that before. I could be wrong. And then back to the logic, he does the Penta driver, which is, again, it looks like a more dangerous bio driver. And he wins the match, Penta does, and the crowd was into it, and it showed his daughters in the front row crying, and Kathy Kelly got in the ring, did an interview. He said, "Thank you, San Jose. I'm in my new home," referring to WWE. He's been waiting for this moment. He spoke in Spanish. I don't know everything he said, but he got a huge pop for everything he said. He talked about this new era, and it's the Penta new era, something like that. He did his Zero Mero, and everybody was happy. So, good debut for Penta. Like I said, couple of holes in the WWE logic there. He had a couple of shaky moments, but I thought he did very well, and I'll excuse that because of I'm sure the emotion of it all with his daughters and the huge Hispanic crowd there in San Jose and the Netflix and the whole nine. I mean, he's arrived, and I think he's gonna. I've been saying it for weeks. I think he's gonna be a big time player in WWE. No, that doesn't mean he's gonna go on to WrestleMania and defeat Roman Reigns, but in terms of I think he's gonna be pushed very well. I think he's gonna sell a ton of merchandise, and eventually his brother's gonna come join him, and they're gonna inject a much needed life into that tag team division. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, so, and again, I just want to reemphasize this. I've said it before, the last few weeks. Raw and SmackDown, I think this Raw was 2.5 hours and SmackDown was 3. I can't cover everything. I'm going to blow through some stuff and just really go a little more in depth on the important things. They showed Dominic in the back giving Liv flowers and trying to make amends for all that stupidity. There was a match between Sheamus and Kaiser. Sheamus defeated Kaiser. Not going to go into that. No disrespect to either guy. I respect both their work. But there's been a ton of interaction between Sheamus, Kaiser, and Braun Breaker, and I'm just kind of like, don't feel like I have to go that in depth into that. We've seen all three of these guys interact a lot over the last few months. So Sheamus gets the win. Kathy Kelly's in the back. She tracks down Seth Rollins. It's official that Drew's going to fight Seth next week. Sami pops in, does the whole, hey man, if you ever want to talk, Sami Zayn is like the WWE's the therapist of the locker room sometimes, it seems like. He said, I know you had a rough week, and if you want to talk, and Seth says, hey man, it's been a great week for you, huh? You helped Roman out. You helped Roman win in that tribal combat, and gives him kind of a, cocky little comeback there. So again, Seth looking very heelish here, and there's a lot of speculation online that could we possibly see KO, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins come together. I think that would be great, a great group. It would have to be clearly no leader, though, because, all three of those guys, who's going to lead who? And so I go back and forth on that. Would it be cool to see them unite? Yes. On the other hand, though, all rumors are saying Drew McIntyre is posed for a huge 2025, and I hope that's true. And I would hate to see him just become, one of three in a group and maybe not pushed as importantly as he should be. So, it doesn't mean they have to have this tight alliance with a certain name and all that, like a full-fledged faction. It could just be that maybe they're of common purpose and they help each other sometimes, all right, so then we get Sami bumps into backstage, The Miz and Karrion Kross, and there's a little trash talk with Miz and Sammy, so they're going to have a match. Gunther was in the ring to do a promo. He says, and I thought this is a great line. He said he was very impressed with the big Netflix debut and the production value and everything, but he wasn't really impressed with the in-ring work, which is kind of funny hearing him say that. Some people have said the same thing. I don't agree. I think that that there was a couple of fine matches on that debut, but he is the champion, and he was not featured other than a vignette on the first episode, and he's not wrestling here, so I guess you could say that. But he talks about that, there's a lot of talk about who's the head of the table and who's the best in the world, and who cares, because he is the world champion, and he's the ring general, and he's been defeating everybody, and he makes a lot of good points. He's been on top of the mountain here for a while, with the Intercontinental title and now with the world title. Jey Uso interrupts, comes through the crowd. I noticed that Jey Uso was totally blown up and was having a hard time getting through his promo from his entrance. He challenges Gunther on Saturday night's main event. Gunther starts laughing, says, "Oh, you're serious?" And he gave him some backhanded compliments about, oh, you're a very, very talented tag team wrestler, and he just kind of walks away from him disrespectfully. But Jey Uso talks about, like, yeah, you're right. A lot of the things you said are right, and I'm scared, and I'm alone, but I'm still earning respect. And then he did the whole 1, 2, 3 yeet, and everybody yeeted with him. So, I'm fully expecting Gunther to get a win over Jey Uso on Saturday night's main event. I'm sure the crowd will be into it. Jey Uso is super, super over. Say what you will about his in-ring. No, he's not Bret the Hitman Hart. I think he's a decent wrestler, and he's, they're gonna have I think they're gonna have a good match, and Gunther's gonna get a win, and that'll be the right call. The Women's Intercontinental Tournament final happened. Lyra Valkyria defeated Dakota Kai with the Nightwing, and they hugged each other, so they're both still baby faces, and don't have a ton to say. It was a decent match. The crowd seemed into it. I'm not sure about all these belts for the women right now. This is another thing people dump on AEW for. I think WWE does a better job of making the belts meaningful, so we'll see. And it's it's more opportunity for the woman to win something, so I get that. But I don't know. I'm of the mind of, if you already have 2 world championships, that's probably enough. But so this is what they're doing here. So like I said, I don't have a lot to say. Congratulations to Lyra. She's the first Intercontinental Champion, and we've got Chelsea as the U.S. Champion. I know Lyra, I think a lot of people might have said, yeah, I could see that. But Chelsea, I don't think people saw coming, but were pleasantly surprised. Sammy defeated The Miz in a match. Not a lot to say there. Rhea Ripley's in the ring cutting a promo about how she's, the world champion after last week. And Nia Jax interrupts from SmackDown. Big time boo. She talks about the transfer window, so that's how she's showing up on Raw. Nia says she's in the Rumble. And then she starts talking trash to Bayley, who was sitting in the crowd. And she comes out of the crowd and talking about how it's her city. And then Nia ended up, Bayley got in her face. Nia pushed her down. She headbutted Rhea Ripley. And then they both, the baby faces ganged up and threw Nia out of the ring. So I guess a little Royal Rumble preview of, like, oh, all these people are going to be interacting, and if a couple of people team up, maybe they can throw Nia Jax out of the ring, So then there was the street fight between Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Again, no disrespect to these guys, but they have interacted a lot. They've had a lot of matches, and the Judgment Day got involved, the War Raiders got involved, and Priest won with the South of Heaven. So that's how they went off the air. Damian Priest getting a win. I'm not too into I hope this is it for the Finn Balor Damian Priest feud. Not super into that. Okay, so let's move on to SmackDown on January 17th, 2025. Just like to quickly again say, please give us a subscribe if you haven't, and a like, and share and interact and all that good stuff. So SmackDown opens up Rey Mysterio with an in-ring promo. They're in San Diego, his home. He talks about he wants to enter the Rumble. He won it in 2006. He was only number 2. He became the champion. He did it for Eddie, the big time Eddie chants. KO interrupted. Kevin Owens. He's got his winged eagle belt with him. He says, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's nobody I respect more in the business. But, you know, I'm the true champion. And I haven't had a match with Rey Mysterio. That would be my dream match. And he says, you know, at WrestleMania, just, if you win the Royal Rumble, please tell me you'll pick me. And you'll fight me for the belt. And Rey Mysterio reminds him, you're not the champion, Cody is. Now, if you win and beat Cody, I will choose you, and I would be happy to face you. So it still seems a little cordial. And then KO starts to blow up on him and get all pissed off. And Rey Mysterio made a comment about, you remind me of Dominic. And a brawl broke out because KO took a cheap shot. And Rey got the upper hand and went for the 619. And Kevin Owens bailed out. So as you could probably figure, there'll be a match with them later on. Bianca is in the back, and Naomi comes out of nowhere, and she says, still no lead on Jade. And I said, yeah. I think we're getting a little obvious here. I think there's a reason that Naomi doesn't have a lead on Jade Cargill, what happened to her. And they talk about Bianca putting her hair up because last week they did a ridiculous thing where one of the heels, like, whipped Bianca's hair into Naomi, and somehow that hurts Naomi. I don't get it. So it was Nia and Candice versus Bianca and Belair and Naomi, the women's tag champions. So they did the heel entrance, and this is that weird WWE thing again. And then they go to a break, and then they come back, and it's Aldis and Ray. Aldis, talking about how Ray versus Kevin Owens is going to be official tonight. He's talking to Kevin Owens, and he says he's trying to get. No, it was he. So he made the announcement that match was official, and then Cody comes out of the locker room, and it looks like he's putting his tie back on because he was just getting checked by the trainers, and he says he's still trying to get clear, and Aldis wants Cody to sign this addendum to the match at the Royal Rumble. He doesn't say what it is, unless I missed something. People can correct me in the comments, and he says I'll sign it when Kevin Owens does. So then we go to Bianca and Naomi's entrance. So the whole time, Nia and Candice have been in the ring with everything I just described. So I don't have a lot to say about this match. Again, people that have interacted a lot lately. Nia leg dropped Candice LeRae by accident at one point. Naomi blind tagged herself in, and she ended up pinning Candice LeRae. The blind tag, I'm not sure if it was meant to be kind of like a surprise to Bianca or not. The announcers didn't really elaborate. So more to come there. Jimmy Uso fought Carmelo. Fatu and Tonga attacked, so Jimmy won by disqualification there. Mello thought that he was going to get on the action. He walked up to the Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga and started talking trash to Jimmy Uso, and he's kind of patting Jacob Fatu on the arm like they're teammates or something. And then Fatu attacked him, and they beat him up too. And then Solo Sikoa's music hits because they had announced earlier that he was going to address what he's doing now after the tribal combat after he lost. So they go to a break, they come back. Solo's in the ring. He's supposed to be cutting a promo. He can't speak. The crowd keeps booing him. He ends up throwing the mic down and leaves. Fatu grabs the mic and says he's tired of the disrespect and the hate, and he's just getting started. And LA Knight's music hits. So Tonga and Fatu get ready for LA Knight. They're looking toward the rampway, and he actually comes from behind and attacks them, but they end up getting the upper hand. And then Braun Strowman makes the save. He comes running down. Tonga goes to jump on him. He catches him and just throws him on the outside of the ring. He gets into the ring, and there's a face-off between Fatu and Braun. This is the second time they've teased this, and the crowd was really hot for this. And Tonga ended up pulling Fatu out by the leg before they could get into it. So later on, they're going to announce that Saturday night's main event, Fatu versus Braun. So that's going to be cool. I'm here for that. Two monsters fighting. That never gets old to me in the world of wrestling, as long as it's a good match, you know. The Machine Guns defeated Los Garza in a match. Aldis is trying to get KO to sign the addendum, and he says the same thing. He won't sign it until Cody. Then we had Piper Niven versus B-Fab, after some trash talk in the back between Michin, B-Fab, Piper, and Chelsea. There was a cool spot where Chelsea kind of distracted B-Fab as she's getting back into the ring, and Piper Niven gave her a senton to the back. Piper ended up winning this match, and then her and Chelsea attacked B-Fab, and Michin saved them with the kendo stick. Saved B-Fab with the kendo stick, took them out, the heels, with the kendo stick. So, giving B-Fab a little action here. I've said I think she's got some promise. I think they need to work a little on her, like her entrance and what her kind of like personality is and stuff. But I think she's got promise. She's tall, and she seems athletic. I think she's definitely needs some polish, but I do think there's promise there with B-Fab. So then we go to Rey versus KO, and KO's got a Rey Mysterio Hall of Fame shirt on, and Rey was super over. This was his home. Again, I'm just gonna go the main points here. Rey Mysterio did one of the best sells of the stunner I've ever seen. It was funny, on just a random SmackDown match. KO gave him the stunner, and Rey did this great, like, jumped way up in the air and landed like awkwardly, kind of bent, like jackknifed on his back, and it was just a really cool bump. But he kicked, it was a kick out. At one point, KO bumped into the ref, which you could argue was by accident, and Rey was on the top rope, so he fell and crotched himself on the turnbuckle. KO proceeded to give Rey the pop-up powerbomb and win, which, I'm not surprised. I know Rey's in his hometown, but KO's going into the Royal Rumble. He needs to look strong and get a ton of heat from the crowd. Then he's pulling up Rey like to shake his hand, and instead he pulls him in for a pile driver. Cody makes the save. There's a big brawl. The officials are trying to break it up, and Aldous says that on Saturday night's main event, Cody and Kevin are going to relinquish the belts to him, and they are going to sign that contract. And because all hell keeps breaking loose, there is going to be a special guest moderator, and it's none other than HBK, Shawn Michaels. All right, so another thing to get you to watch Saturday night's main event. We had the Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Bayley. I noticed that after their entrances, there was a Charlotte Flair package with her looking like a millionaire star on all kind of yachts and all kind of... I'm hoping she comes back as a heel. I just always thought she'd be better as a heel. She's bigger than most of the women. Her personality, the fact that they're accentuating how rich she is and all this stuff. I mean, she's just better. I think Flairs are better as heels. Let's just put it that way. Tiffy and Bayley had a really good match. Good wrestling match, good back and forth, a lot of athletics. Tiffany Stratton, I think, can be a star for a long time. It's been no secret her background in gymnastics, and it shows. She's very athletic. There was a lot of "Let's Go Bayley" Tiffy time chants. The only thing I would say is that they're gonna have to turn Tiffy face, I think, because the fans love her. Most of them do anyway. And I thought they were gonna pull the trigger with the whole Nia Jax thing, and they didn't. They seem to be still holding on to the fact she's a heel, but I don't know how long that could last, because like I said, she's I think she's just too over. Tiffany ended up winning with the prettiest moonsault ever. I thought it was pretty clean. I could have missed something. If I did, let me know. But, good on Bayley. She put Chelsea over in the U.S. tournament. She put Tiffany over here. And I think that was the right call. And hopefully they don't take their foot off the gas with Tiffany Stratton and keep pushing her. So that was the week in WWE. And those are my thoughts on it. I thought it was a good week. Didn't blow my mind, but it wasn't particularly bad. I thought it was okay overall, pretty good. WWE right now has an embarrassment of riches with their stars. So even when it's just an okay week, you can always throw out a CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre segment that'll keep everybody talking for days. And so okay week. I think they've got decent momentum going into the Royal Rumble just by the sheer names that are in it. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's my review for now. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't. And stay tuned for my next upload, which will most likely be the week in AEW. All right. Thanks. Take care, everyone.